And this kid who was a trained wrestler, they called action. The referee that's in between us blew the whistle, and before I could close my eyes to blink, Cleveland, I'm looking at the roof.
All right, everyone. My name is Cleveland Rowe, also known as PapiCleve, and today I have a special guest with me today. He is a true Renaissance man, a Disney legend. You have your hands in almost everything from fashion, from music in the past, but also acting, of course, which you're pretty much known for, but also content creation. Today I have Khleo Thomas. How are you?
Man, great introduction, bro. Appreciate it, man.
I was on the spot.
I'm doing amazing. Thank you for having me, man.
Of course. Wow, that was on the spot. I didn't really have an introduction. I was like, man, I don't even know how I'm supposed to introduce this man, but here we are.
For sure. Well done.
Thank you. So first question is, last year you had the Holes reunion where you guys all met up together. How was that experience meeting everyone once again, seeing Shia LaBeouf once again, since it's been such a long time? How was that experience been like?
Oh man, surreal. It's I knew that would have to happen. You know, I knew that this film has meant so much, not only to the cast and crew, but to so many people around the world, that I knew that it would be great to celebrate it in that way come the 20th anniversary. So that year was really interesting because I kind of looked at it even just in my own light, within my own, space, my own universe, my own brand. Like, what do I want to do to celebrate it? So there was an opportunity to perform the Dig It song for the very first time live. And I took the opportunity. There's this company called Be Our Guest, and they pretty much just like trap karaoke, but for Disney songs. So like the DJ just comes and they just drop Disney songs and people just sing their hearts out. And I saw the video of one of the cities. So I reached out to them and I was like, hey, I would love to come by and surprise the audience in Los Angeles and perform this song for the very first time. And we did. And it was really just to celebrate the 20th anniversary. So later on in that year, of course, it's this amazing screening. We've got the crew there, we've got the cast there, and it's the first time I'm gonna get a chance to watch the film with an audience again since the premiere. And what was so surreal was to hear like the audience behind me finish the lines to certain moments. Or of course, that's too damn bad, or I can fix that, or the audience cheering once the shovel swing happens. All great experiences for sure. But what was great to me was to really just connect again with Shia, with Miguel Castro, who played Magnet, with Byron Cotton, who played Armpit, with the director Andrew Davis, and the writer of the book, Louis Sacker, the stuntman who was on set, the wardrobe. All of this crew were there, and it meant so much to me because this film changed my life. This is the film that put me on the map. This is my breaking into the industry moment, and it's given so much to not only me but my family, and also being able to connect with people all over the world because of it. So great experience, grateful for it, and let's see what happens on the 30th anniversary.
Yes, yeah. One thing about Holes is that, and I can never forget when I was first introduced to Holes, which was in middle school. This is during the time it's being promoted, Disney Channel. I remember my dad taking us to go see the movie and reading the book in school, and it's just lived on for so long, for years and years, decades. What do you think has made Holes such a cult classic, or just a classic in media?
Oh, great question. I think that it's one of those things where it's a book that so many kids get a chance to read at a time where they're growing and they're maybe seeing the world through a different lens, right? And this story that they read in school with their friends, and they're getting kind of guided through it in a way where they get a chance to come to their own realization of what the story is about, but also hear from the perspective of their classmates, the teacher, and then the fact that there is a movie that they get a chance to check out right after they read the book. I think it all ties into viewing it in such a different space. At the same time, this is a Disney film, but it is some harsh stuff going on in this Disney movie, man. Yeah. There's some harsh things that happen. There's some very interesting lines. There's some very key points in this that really pull on the heartstrings. And I'll never forget seeing a TikTok video a couple years ago where a girl broke down how the prison system of what's supposed to be, bringing someone back to be able to live in society in a way, how it's presented in Holes. And I'm like, man, I didn't see it that way. But again, it's just the perspective of all these different characters and these different stories. And I think it's one of those things. It's a cult classic, like you mentioned, and at the same time, it's so organic. There's no big push from the studio, to continue to roll it out in different ways and keep people engaged. Organically, people just gravitate to this story, these characters, and this film.
Now, one thing is, in an interview with The Insider, you mentioned that you guys went through a whole boot camp and you guys are working in the desert. So there's heat conditions. Like, how did you guys even prepare for that? What was that like? How intense was it?
No one could have prepared us exactly for what was actually going to go on in the desert. No one could. We did do a boot camp for like a month beforehand, and they had us, running miles, climbing ropes, actually digging a hole. And I got to give credit to the director for wanting to not fake that. Let's really take these kids and show them what it's going to be like. So that was one thing to do in a whole location, not too far from Los Angeles. Whole different thing when you take us to Ridgecrest, California, in the middle of the desert with the scorching heat, having to do take after take, sand getting in the equipment. Like, it's a lot going on. Sandstorms kicking up, knocking over equipment and cameras, and it was a lot. Nothing could have prepared us for sure, but it was an experience nonetheless. And yeah, it's for sure, I think, what helped sell that feeling of just dread out there with the scorching hot sun.
That's intense, man. I don't know if I can even do that, but I guess if the check is there, I mean, yeah.
Yeah. It took me a while to understand what I was doing, bro. To be quite honest, it wasn't until the second week of filming that it actually locked in. Like, oh, I'm actually doing this. I thought I was still auditioning. I kid you not. It was not until the second week of filming where I was like, oh, wait, I'm actually here.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't like another screen test thing. This isn't another audition. Like, the moment I saw Sigourney Weaver come around the corner in full costume dressed as the warden is when it really, locked in for me, because to me, that's Ripley from Aliens. And I didn't know that she was casted as the warden. So my brain just boom, exploded. I'm like, oh, this is happening. Okay. All right, now let's go. So yeah, bro, great experience.
Yeah. Speaking of Alien, did you see the recent movie?
Yes, I did. Alien Romulus.
Oh man, I gotta get to the theater, man. I heard it's fire.
2 thumbs up. They did amazing.
Okay, for sure. I gotta see it. Now you also been in other movies. Famous one is Roll Bounce, which is another classic. Believe it or not, people may not want to agree with that, but it's a classic. My question for you is, one thing I love about the movie is how they capture the essence of the 70s. What was that like for you? And what are your thoughts on how detailed the movie was just to capturing that era?
Man, big credit to the director, Malcolm Lee, and the writer, because what was wild is the fact that you got a guy like Bow Wow being number one on that call sheet, the superstar that he is at that time, right? Mm-hmm. And the business of what he already was while coming into that film. Like, this is him getting ready to go back on his promo tour for his next album, the Scream tour. That's happening right after Roll Bounce. And you're in an era where everyone has a sidekick at this time. So how do you get your crew, how do you get your cast to stop being modern and really tap into the 70s? I gotta give it to Malcolm Lee for setting the mood for us to really be able to feel that time. None of us were alive. None of us really knew what it was like in the 70s, but the old folks did. So Shy McBride did. Of course, you got Charlie Murphy there. You got Mike Epps there. They can speak from a different perspective. So we're tapping in that way. Luckily enough, we had a lot of time to connect for rehearsals. So that kind of helped us, find the lingo and find the vibe. And big shout out to Brandon T. Jackson for that being his very first a major motion picture, for that being his first opportunity to shine. me and Wesley Jonathan, the actor who plays Sweetness in the film, that was maybe me and Wesley's 4th or 5th time working in a project together. We talked about this not too long ago. I have to give a huge shout out to him for being able to not fold underneath the pressure of what the director gave him, because this is his first time, and the director just gave him unlimited running time. Like, you are going to lead us in being the comedy in this film, and I need you to do it. And he did not fail. I have all the respect for Brandon T. Jackson for it to be his first run, and he stole the show, and he stepped up to the plate, and he had the platform in the spotlight, and that guy did not shrink. So a lot of respect to Brandon for that. Respect to Bao for being able to pull off an emotional scene with him and Shy McBride. Yeah. You know, I know there was a lot of pressure on him coming from being the rapper and the superstar that he was, but knowing the story that's the scene that Malcolm made Bow Wow audition in the room is wild, because if he don't nail it in the audition, he doesn't get the role. If he doesn't nail it on screen, no one connects with it in that way. And I'll never forget at the premiere, man, when that scene happened, and to hear the room and hearing the sniffling start happening, hear the heavy breathing because of the trauma and the hurt that this young man was going through with losing his mother. And how do you connect with that as a father? Like, that's a lot of trauma in that moment. Yeah. And Bao nailed it, in my personal opinion.
Dang, now that you brought it up, because he also did an emotional scene with him and Brandon T. Jackson in Lottery Ticket. And
Lottery Ticket, that's right.
You know what? You made me respect Bow Wow as an actor more, not just off of this whole take that you just gave.
Yeah, man. Got to give it to him, bro. When it's there, show them the flowers, man. Give them their just due. And that's one of those ones for me, man. I had a lot of time to spend with Bao after Rowe Bounce. We went on Scream Tour together. We did so much amazing work and business together. But when I really look at the full frame of what this guy was able to accomplish in his timeline, his life, that is something to tip a hat to.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Now, another movie that you've been a part of that no one really speaks about too much is Going to the Mat. Now, one of my questions for you is, well, the only question I have for you when it comes to that film is that, are you still using some of the trainings, like wrestling trainings that they taught you to this day?
That's a great question, dog. Going to the mat was so much, because I'm a huge wrestling fan, right? I'm a huge WWE guy, AEW, NXT, New Japan. Like, I love wrestling. I've always loved wrestling. So when I booked this role and they're like, you're going to do this wrestling film, like, I wasn't really aware of Roman Gecko or collegiate wrestling. I wasn't aware, like, that's I'm not doing, Shawn Michaels off the top rope kind of stuff. Like, no, this is wrestling.
Wrestling.
So they send me to a class here somewhere in Los Angeles, and it's like it's nothing but like a Russian wrestling school. And I start seeing them doing their stuff, and I'm like, oh, this is different.
It's intense.
I grew up playing basketball and football. This is different. So the level of physicality I immediately loved. And then we get down to Salt Lake City to shoot the project, and I'll never forget, my dad's watching us do this scene. And there's a guy that lines up across from me, and he's about as skinny as I am. I'm in that skinny singlet. I'm you feel me? I'm a toothpick with black clothes on at that point. And this kid, who was a trained wrestler, they called action. The referee that's in between us blew the whistle, and before I could close my eyes to blink, Cleveland, I'm looking at the roof, because he took me down that quick, bro. Yeah. So the level of respect for that world as well, different beast. Do I still use some of the workouts? Yes, for stretching. When I stretch, I go back to that. They taught me how to stretch properly, for sure.
I have a similar story, because I did wrestling in high school for 2 years. And
okay.
And I was going against someone who was like, I think he was like number 1 or number 2 in the state at the time. And and this is like, I think this is my first year. And as soon as we step on the mat, literally in 3 seconds, I don't know how it happened, I'm on the ground, I'm pinned. It's over after that. So, and everything just went by in a flash. But wrestling is one of my favorite sports. That's the only sport I really took seriously, other than like basketball. But wrestling was actually like the first sport I actually took very, very seriously.
I love it. Love to know that that's the history of you. When I brought my dad up, it was the fact that as soon as the director called cut, and as I'm getting up, I'm looking at my dad in the corner laughing, like dying laughing about this moment. I'm like, all right, bet. He knew what was coming.
That's crazy. Now, you in the movie, you have your latest film. I'm sorry, your latest film, Vigilante, which you're also working alongside with Wesley. How is it working alongside with him, and how has he pushed you as an actor?
Oh, great question, man. So me and Wes have been friends for a long time, and what I love about our friendship and our relationship is the fact that to Wes, I've already done it. Done it by what I mean by that is like I've done films, and I've already done it at a level that Wes wants to be able to direct films at that level. So it's a great dichotomy between us because we get a chance to see the world from two different perspectives, but we both just love storytelling, period. No matter what level it's at, no matter what the skill level is, like, no, we just love to tell great stories. So Wes finally comes to me after being friends for so long, and he's like, yo, I got it. I got the one. I know what I want to do. So he sends me the script, we read it, and then we just get into the breakdown of the character and, you know, what are his motivations and why is this happening? And we just went right to work. We went right to work. And what I really appreciated about this opportunity with Vigilante is that Wes allowed me to, or he empowered me to be the leader as being the, I guess, eldest statesman on the set. Yeah. I can't really say that because, you know, Maestro Harrell, who's been in the industry just as long as I have, was in The Wire, had his own TV show, has done music as well. Maestro is just as seasoned and just as a veteran as I am. But within this role, within this characters between them, I'm technically the leader of it all. So what I really appreciated was the fact that Wes wanted me to be that, not only in the character, but also on set, was to lead my team, my crew, my three guys, and how we were going to handle the situation, not only before they called action, but after they called action as well. So that's where Wes, I would say, challenged me, but also empowered me to be able to do, because that's the first time I've been able to be number one on the call sheet and take the responsibility of being number one on the call sheet.
Now, you mentioned like this movie was a challenge for you. What were those challenges when it came to making this film?
For Vigilante?
Yeah.
Oh man, hey, we had to go dark. I'm a very family first person. I've always been, and that's that's my foundation. That's my North Star. Like, my family is everything to me. That's where I am. That's why I am where I am today, is because I had a solid foundation growing up. So with this role, though, it's like to do the things that Jason chose to do because of a bigger picture, because of a bigger plan, because of his own selfish things. I couldn't adapt or think to do those kinds of things because I've always done things in a way to like, well, if it doesn't benefit the family, I'm not with it. So it was such a weird thing, like being able to come up with the reasoning and the why and the delivery of certain things for it to be authentic. Because if it's see-through, it's not it. So that was the challenge for me. And once we locked that in, man, and being able to really connect with how dark we could go, I had a great time with this. And what I love about it, the response has been very, very solid for my performance, and that makes me know that I still got the skill set and the tools are still sharp enough to go.
That's amazing. Now, one thing I want to touch upon is your new movie that you have coming out soon, or actually I don't know when it comes out, but your first ever horror movie, If It Bleeds.
Yeah.
Could you talk about that a little bit and how it is inspired by Stephen King's book? What details could you give us?
Man, Matthew Hirsch approached me and he told me he had this project for me, and I read the script, instantly fell in love with it. Never done horror before, something I always dreamed of doing. And getting on the set was really cool because like everyone on the set has been doing the horror genre for like over 15 years. Right. So everyone's a veteran in their respective lane, and I'm just listening. I'm on set just a huge sponge because it's such a different way of setting up shots, the delivery of certain lines, the beats in between the lines. It's such a different experience for me. So it's been a lot of fun. I can't give anything else away about it at the moment, but just know I am having a blast doing this movie because it's so, horror is one of those things, like if you can nail it, oh my God, like just the response of the audience is what I look forward to seeing.
You know, with horror movies, I'm always curious how you step into the mental state of fear and how you're able to portray that. And I believe fear can also be exhausting. How did you mentally prepare for that? Physically and mentally prepare for that kind of role?
Man, great question. So I've watched a lot of horror films. I won't say I'm a overall know-it-all in the space, but I've watched enough horror films to know that if you're gonna be frightened, you gotta be frightened. If you're gonna be scared, you gotta be scared. Like there's no half-ass in it. You gotta go for it. So knowing what I pulled from like Drag Me to Hell, and the actress who's the lead in that, like knowing what she went through physically, not only during the film but afterwards, it's like, man, she really dedicated to the shock of it all. Like the hands shaking, the body, the breathing. Like you can hyperventilate breathing that hard, just over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
So luckily enough, a lot of the scenes that we have shot so far have only required a bit of that. So I'm excited for us to finish production and be able to get to our crescendo moment. That's going to be, hope to shock the audiences.
Yeah.
But that's really what it was. It's pulling from the other actors and actresses that I've seen in this space and being able to commit to it.
Oh, now transitioning on to content creation, because you made it like I won't say you made a huge pivot, but you made a pivot to content creation. And what I love about it is how you're taking matters into your own hands. So as someone who has made that pivot, do you find more joy, or do you find the same amount of joy when making content while also doing acting?
It's about the same amount of joy. My first and always my love will always be acting, because I love the idea of storytelling in that way. I love to be able to be in character. I love to work with people in that space and tell a great story. But I'm so happy with where we are in entertainment and being able to call action whenever I want. That's something that's really, really important to me. But it's really just because I came from an era of entertainment where I had to wait for a phone call. I had to wait for an audition to come in, to then read a script, to then drive to the audition, to then sit there in the waiting room, to then do the scene, to then leave and wonder if you're going to even get a call back, and then you don't get a call back, and then a day later it's another one. So then you go in and there is a call back. So it's that process over and over and over again with no guarantee. But guess what? It's what I signed up for. It's what I knew I wanted to do since I was 5 years old. Love all of that. But it's so gratifying to be able to be in any place, wherever I'm at, due to technology, and say, hey, I either have a story to tell, I have this thing I want to talk about, I have this thing I want to show off, and I can do it wherever. I always looked at content creation like this, bro. I've always looked at it like this has given me a better way to update my resume every single day. But not only the content creation, just the platform in which you build through content creation. Being able to like go to my Instagram or go to my story and be able to put up like old tour footage with me and Bao, to me hosting Hasbro PulseCon, to me hosting the NAACP Virtual Image Awards, to me moderating the panels for Netflix or Anime News Network. Like those things, you don't get a chance. Back in the day, once they're gone, they're gone. Those moments are gone. But now I can show these things off every single day to remind someone, or to put it on someone's radar. Like, damn, I didn't know he did that. He did that. He's also done that. That was not available to me at a young age, but it's there now. So every day, brother, I am I look at it like if I owned a storefront, I'm putting some brand new on the front of the store for someone who's window shopping and may come in that day.
Yeah, no, it's inspiring to me because I'm someone who's taking that route as well. As a content creator, because I talk about music a lot, and that's what my huge focus is on. Of course, I do this kind of thing where I do journalistic interviews and stuff like that, but I just got tired of waiting for an email for people to accept tired of job applications, even though I'm still doing that. But I think I'm at the point where I just want to create my own platform. And you guys have been an inspiration, from you, Berlizzi, and these other content creators that I see. Like, yeah. So I want to say thank you on that, for sure.
That's love, brother. That is love. That is a lot of love. And that's just where we're at. That's where the industry and the business is now. You build it and you can build it. They're going to come anyway because they want to tap into what you've created. Right.
Now, you mentioned about aspiring to be the next Arsenio Hall. How is that looking going forward? What will be your ideal talk show?
Oh my God, great question. Yeah, so With the Arsenio Hall thing, man, I had right before we went into the pandemic, I had pitched the idea of having my own late night talk show because we didn't have someone that looks like us and a young black man to be able to talk about what's going on culturally, topically. And I looked at it like, let me be this generation's Arsenio Hall. Pitched this idea, they love it. The network, we're getting ready to shoot the pilot the second week of April. Boom, the pandemic hits in 2020, so boom, that's all gone. So now I'm stuck in the house, just like everyone else. I'm looking at the Twitch platform. I love video games. I had this idea right before we got locked in, so let me combine my ideas from the talk show to my love for gaming, start my Twitch channel and make it what it is. Did that, boom, beautiful. It works in the first. I studied the Twitch platform for the first 3 months of us being locked in, launched it on the 4th, and it's been up ever since. It's been a very up trajectory ever since that time. So here we are now, and what I love about what I built is the sense is like the independence and the autonomy to do whatever I want, whenever I want. And it's going to be very interesting, I think, when it's time to revisit the idea of the talk show kind of format, because I'm like, we've already built it. In a sense, when we look at guys like Kai Cenat, if you look at what he's done with his Twitch platform, that is the new TRL. That is the new 106 in Park. That is the new late night talk show with Jay Leno. Because everybody of status goes to whose platform to promote their new project or to talk. They're literally sitting in his set. That's the new format. You feel me? That's how I view. That's how I view it. So if anything, I feel like I was like, oh, I was right. It was gonna be here. It was gonna be at this platform. And I tip my hat to not only Kai because he put the work in way before. He's been doing this. Yeah. But when the opportunity came at the right moment, he was already well prepared. And not only him, his team, everyone who works with him to make that brand what it is, it's perfectly executed, in my personal opinion.
Yeah. Wow, I never even thought about that. Kai Cenat being the next TRL, the next talk show. Like I didn't even think about that. That's crazy.
That's what his platform is. Look at the guests that come on. Look at every rapper, every singer, every actor. You put Kevin Hart on that platform, bro. Think about that. And it's unfiltered. Think of how organic that really is. When you're at the talk shows, that's a network. There's sponsors. There's only so much space you can do. You go to his spot, you free.
Yeah.
And the things that go viral are the clips of them just being as authentically them as they can. So what better place? So that's my view on the space.
Now, I like to think of you as like the Indiana Jones of collectibles. What has been the most precious item that you've collected that you hold near and dear to your heart?
Okay, first and foremost, we got to talk about you giving me this.
Oh, wow. Yes.
We got to talk about that. So first and foremost, and this is captured. It's funny that I'm in because the video that of you giving me this is going up today, actually. Oh, so sure. This drops today. So this means a lot to me, man, because of what this character means to me, and like personally, like Powerline. I remember being in elementary school watching a Goofy movie in class, and the moment I saw Max take over the auditorium, I was like, okay, I understand the appeal of wanting to be the cool guy for the girl. But then we got a chance to see why he was influenced and why he was inspired was because of Powerline at the end and that concert setting. So it sparked something in me at a young age to be the entertainer in some way. Didn't know how it was going to work out, but I just knew that that's what I wanted to do. But to answer your question, as far as the thing that I hold near and dear to my heart, do I have anything in this room currently? Okay.
I got you.
All right. We're going into the case, bro.
This is crazy.
We're going into the case. All right, so we're gonna put this one down here.
How many rooms of stuff do you have? Like,
you said what?
Stuff? How many rooms do you have, like, of all these collectibles?
Oh, the storage is crazy. The storage is nuts. Like, the storage is absolutely crazy. Like, this is just this room. But my storage, it's insane. So I'm gonna tell you this quick story. This is why this means the most to me. I thought I was going to have to book a role in a TV show or a film in which that character would then get to be the toy, and then I would go and buy my own toy. You know, that's what I thought my journey in life was going to be at a young age. I've always been a toy collector, and I'm in entertainment. I'm like, cool, I'm going to book a superhero role movie one day or something. I'm going to have my own toy. But because I sharpened my tools as a host during the lock-in and with my Twitch stream, I was able to have the opportunity presented to me to host Hasbro PulseCon. And with Hasbro PulseCon, on my second year hosting it, they unveiled the selfie series, which allowed you to take a photo of yourself and they would put you on an action figure. So my journey in life, I still got my toy, but it wasn't just for me. It was for everybody around the world to be able to be their own action figure. So like holding on and seeing myself as like a Red Ranger.
Wow.
Holding on and seeing myself as like Snake Eyes from G.I. Joe.
That's hard. That's hard.
Seeing myself as the Mandalorian from Star Wars. You feel me?
That's crazy.
Seeing myself as a stormtrooper from Star Wars. Like that's because I thought I had it mapped out. I thought I had to book a role that would be good enough or big enough in a project that would make my character the toy. No, I happen to host for the company that makes the toys, that I get a chance to roll out the thing that they rolled out, which is the selfie series. And I got all these toys of me.
It's funny how life happens. You thought it was this way, but it's a different way. And you'll still end up
That's
at
the journey in life. You gotta adapt, baby. You gotta adapt.
I forgot to ask this. Earlier this summer, you worked alongside with Will Smith and Martin Lawrence. What was that experience like working alongside them, and have they give you any advice when it comes to acting or just in life?
So that opportunity is crazy, and we just talked about adapting, right? King Vader, an incredible new era of entertainment. He calls me and he's like, yo, I got this opportunity to work with Will Smith and Martin Lawrence, and I want to shoot this thing, and I want you to be this mob boss Colombian thing. I'm like, of course. Mind you, I've met Will Smith several times throughout my career in passing, had conversations very briefly, cool stuff. But because of a new generation entertainer, content creator, director, producer, I got a phone call to be able to be a part of this scene. And I think that's a testament to being able to adapt and look at the space of it all, because it could, you know, with the, and not to sound like, not to make it this or that or this level, but it's like, I think a lot of people would look at their own resume and be like, why would I? Like, I'm this, I've done this, I've done that. And that's where I think people fail so much, because you think your accomplishments will forever hold you and push you further. That's not how that works. So being able to pick up the phone when he called and say, where do you need me? I'm there. Show up to set, share this scene with Will Smith and Martin Lawrence. None of my film opportunities got me that. Me working with Vader on a Mortal Kombat video that we put out for MK1, me and him just being friends and talking anime got that. So great opportunity, great moment. I'm forever grateful. A couple days later, we got a chance to do something for Bad Boys, and me and Will had a great piece that comes out as far as him asking what inspired me. And I was like, I'm trying to be like Mike Lowry.
Khleo Thomas, how are you feeling? You look really strong out there.
Yeah, man.
You know, I could tell at the start you were confident.
Yeah.
You were feeling like you were going to do a good job. What were you thinking at the start?
Be Mike Lowry.
Oh! Be Mike Lowry.
And that's a great post forever, because there's truth in that. Who didn't want to be like, as Martin said in the first one, I want to be like Mike. Iconic.
Yes, sir. And so since you're in content creation and like digital media is constantly evolving, and you've been at the forefront for that, where do you see the future of content creation heading, and how do you plan to stay ahead of the curve in this climate that's rapidly changing and evolving?
Paying attention, really paying attention, man. Never getting comfortable, constantly adapting, looking at the wave, and like that's really what it is for me. That's what's kept me going. It also kept me motivated. I look at our industry, how it's changed overnight. I do think that the moment I hit the scene, I feel like it was the very last years of the golden era in which people were playing by old school Hollywood rules.
Yeah.
The moment YouTube hit, I'm talking early YouTube, the moment that hit, that changed the dynamic of what makes someone a star, what makes someone famous, what makes someone influential. That changed. It was no longer on a studio or a network to make a star. Meanwhile, the person just sitting in their house with a camera and a microphone can pull just as many numbers as the guy you're expecting to sell out a movie theater every 8 months because they're dropping a new project. It doesn't equate. There was a report I had read where a few agents left one of these big agencies and started their own boutique management company, and they had A-list actors on their list, but they switched up and started representing the social media side because they saw the wave coming. These new guys can pull just as many numbers as the A-listers. We got a shift, and this was years ago. So where do I see the future of entertainment, man? I see it being more in the hands of the creators. I see that I think that there's going to be a shift in how businesses ran as far as being able to fund a lot of the creatives. I think platforms, I think it's not only going to be the heavy hitters, like when we think of Disney Plus, when we think of Max, when we think of Peacock, Paramount. I mean, Tubi came out not too long ago, and look at it.
Yeah.
Right? Everyone was the laughing thing. Oh, all this ghetto, la la la. And behind closed doors, Tubi doing numbers.
I believe. So aren't they allowing people to pitch movies to them, like people like us?
Exactly. It's become a network of just creatives. And they're yeah, here, boom, boom, boom. And the funny part about it is like the marketing behind Tubi. Think about it. It's like you're not hearing about just the project, you're hearing about the app and people like having some social commentary and talking about this, oh, this was this, laughing about it, but you're still seeing Tubi constantly. So the marketing was built into the fact, the culture to be like, yo, have y'all seen this shit? You know what I mean? And that's how it's built up since then. So I see new platforms. I also see new ways of taking in the media and consuming it. I think that with all of this vertical content that we're consuming constantly, 9x16 wise, I think there's something there. I think we're going to see a shift somewhere. I don't know if we're about watching a full-length movie in 9x16, but I think if you could break down the pieces of a story in a 9x16 format, I think we are slowly getting to that. I say slowly, meanwhile we're already here. Like it's going to become more acceptable. Yeah, that's my view.
Sure. Even on TikTok now, there's people that would break up movies, put like clips of those movies together, and they'll do like part 1, part 2, and I'd be intrigued.
We're there.
Yeah.
We're holding it.
Exactly. So we're gonna move on to more like fun questions, not so serious questions. But cool. As a fellow Disney fanatic,
yeah,
which movie do you feel is the most underrated?
Great question. The most underrated film?
And that can be animated, Disney Channel films, or just Pixar, Disney in general.
I'm gonna have to say, hold on, I want to fact check this. Okay, and then did it release the same? Did it release the same day? I'm pretty sure Treasure Planet released at the same weekend.
Yeah.
Is it Harry Potter?
It could be. That could be true. That could be
November 27th for that one. Hold on. Let me see. Nope, November 14th. Okay, so the weekend after. They pushed it. All right, so November 27th, 2022 is when Treasure Planet hit. November 14th no. Yeah. November 14th, 2002 is when Harry Potter Chamber of Secrets hit. So the week after, it's still dealing with all of the vitriol of is that the third one? That's the second one. That's the second Harry Potter movie.
Yeah.
It's still dealing with the vitriol of that. So I think it got buried underneath all of the wizards, and this is Harry Potter.
Yeah.
That was getting ready to be the billion-dollar franchise that it was destined to be. So I think Treasure Planet got swept under the rug, and I would like to see a return to Treasure Planet.
Yeah, dang, that's crazy. I was just thinking about Treasure Planet, and I just saw the movie recently again, and it just spoke to me at this big age of 30 years old, and how it just spoke to you about realizing your potential and stepping into your purpose. Yeah, it just aligns so well. So good of a movie.
I'm right there with you. I want to see Treasure Planet, man. Get his love and get his just due.
In your opinion, which Disney film has the best soundtrack?
Mulan. I ain't even got a whole Mulan. Not only the songs in the film, but the actual soundtrack is a banger too. When they gotta wash Mulan up at the beginning of the movie so she can go meet the matchmaker, like crazy record. We don't even need to talk about Make a Man Out of You, banger. Reflections, banger. Like, come on.
I just knew you were gonna say Tarzan, but
Nah, I got a beef with two films. I got a beef with Tarzan and Hercules. Those are the two films that I'm just like. My thing with Hercules is I think everyone loves the muses, not the story. That's my theory. I think people love the muses, not all of it. Oh, and Hades, great villain. I haven't went back and watched Hercules in a long time, and that's something that I'm looking to do. So let me see if it changes now that I'm grown. Let me see if I feel differently about it. Hercules and Tarzan, I'm just like, yeah.
I think that's crazy.
I got tired of seeing that commercial. I wanna know. Can you show?
It's Phil Collins though.
I know who it is. I know. And maybe I'm tripping. And if I'm tripping, I'm tripping. And I'll admit it. But I'm gonna go back. Those are the two films on my watch list that I'm like, let me see if I'm big tripping.
Tarzan has one of my favorite songs of all time, which is You'll Always Be My Heart.
Oh.
It's that and of course Eye to Eye. But that song will always sit with me. I'm sorry.
I gotta give it another shot. I'm gonna stop talking crazy until I watch it again.
This is not my last question, but you vocalize how Powerline, Batman Beyond, and also Zero from Mega Man X. Is it X? Are like your personal favorites. What are those connections? Well, what about those characters that you're so drawn to?
With Powerline, I mentioned as far as like, I think that was my first spark of understanding what it's like to move a crowd, literally. And seeing him at the very end in concert, I thought was the coolest thing ever. So that let me know like I wanted to pursue something in entertainment in some kind of way. With Batman Beyond, it was the fact that we got a new version of Batman, Terry McGinnis. He's younger, he's in high school, he's got a crazy looking suit, it's black and red, he has no cape, he's got jet boots, and a lot of his villains were dope. A lot of villains for the Batman Beyond series were really, really cool. And that was just at that time, man. When you look at Batman Beyond, Static Shock, there was a few other great cartoons around that run that were just amazing. Like the WB Kids lineup was perfection. People forget that Godzilla had a cartoon. People forget that Men in Black had a cartoon at that time. People forget the Extreme Ghostbusters cartoon at that time. There were some bangers. So that's the connection with that. And then with Mega Man X, like here it is. So DreamCon last year, I had someone build me a full armor for Zero. And I remember playing the very first Mega Man X game. Zero shows up, he saves Mega Man. Crazy story, but we don't get a chance to really play as Zero until like Mega Man X3 and 4. So this is all before the role. This is all before the movie. But I always was a huge fan of Zero. He was my favorite color. He had a cool blade. He had a crazy charge shot. He was technically stronger than X, so it was dope. Not only him, but like Sub-Zero from Mortal Kombat. Jack Skellington's dog name was Zero, and I'm like, I think it was just destined for your boy to have that role lined up for him. And yeah, I think when you look at the echelon of Zero characters in entertainment and media, you got to put the curly haired kid up there too.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, back in 2010, you dropped your first mixtape. It's cartoon. Hold on. The World is a Cartoon. What was your musical influences back then, and would you ever return back to making music again?
My musical influences back then. So I always loved music. I helped write the theme song for Holes, right, with the Dig It song. Great. So I broke into both worlds at the same time, film and music. I did. I went on to do great music independently. Had a blast with that, and then we do Roll Bounce, and then I get a chance to be right by, shoulder to shoulder with a guy who's sold out arenas since he was 14. You know what I mean? Like this was his third arena tour. Screen Tour 4 was his third one. Wow. And you got to remember at this time, like how many artists could sell out arenas? Not only just that, let me throw another thing on that for Bao. How many artists could sell out Madison Square Garden 2 nights in a row? He did. Not too many, but he did, and I got a chance to share the stage with him. He didn't have to allow me on, like, that's his stage. This is literally his arena, his platform. And he chose to put me on that stage with him, man, and stand shoulder to shoulder with him and embrace all that energy. And I will forever be grateful for that moment. So that's a big, big inspiration to see what it's like at that scale when you've done the work. So it was that for me. It was being able to hope to achieve that level of success in the music game. And luckily, technology had made it to where you didn't need to be in a $1,000 plus studio to make good music. You could be in your house with your laptop and the microphone and the M-Box and just go to work. And we look at how music is now, because that was the early transition to it. So I just started recording a lot of great songs and putting them out, and running the YouTube stuff, running the SoundCloud era. And the moment for me that really shifted, it was like I started not having fun at all. I started dealing with the industry of music, and it started bothering me a lot. And as a person who genuinely wants to be themselves 100% of the time, I knew that was being very conflicting with what the industry of music is. So it was that for me. That was the change out of it. I was like, you know what? I'm not having fun, so I'm gonna go ahead and pull the cord. Wow. And the thing that, but I will say the thing that I accomplished that made it very easier for me to make my transition out of it was I started my clothing line, Slick Living. I started my merch brand out of that because I came up with the nickname Mr. Slick Living, and it worked out in a great way. And it feels really cool when I get a package sent from a company and it says to Khleo Thomas, aka Mr. Slick Living. I'm like, oh, okay, it worked. Because they could have just did Khleo, they could go, oh, Zero from Holes. But like the fact that I'm out, I'll be at DreamCon and people are like, yo, Mr. Slick Living. I'm like, love the fact that the wrestling mindset of me helps, because you got to give them a button, you got to give them a cosign, you got to give them something to constantly react to. So that, but also the moment I heard my lyrics screamed back at me from the stage, mission accomplished. That's all I really wanted, because I saw it standing alongside him. So the moment I was on stage and I heard the crowd rap bar for bar my 5 on this song, I was like, oh, I'm done. That's all I needed. It proved to me that I could do it, and I did it. Yeah, I'm good.
That's amazing. All right, so my final segment is we're gonna do a little game called Fact or Fiction.
Ooh, let's do this.
Some things that I scoured through the internet for, and just want to know if it's a fact or if it's fiction.
Cool.
All right, so on the first one is, on the set of Holes, did Shia LaBeouf actually teach you how to play guitar?
That's a fact. That is a fact. There's actually a photo of it. I don't know if I have it or it's out there on the internet, but like there is a photo proof of that. And yeah, that's all fact. That was like maybe the first 2 weeks of us filming, of us just hanging out. And he bought a guitar, so he was learning how to play, and that's what that was. So yeah, that's a fact.
Wow, I was really hoping there was, because I found it on like a fan-made website, and I wasn't sure. It was super old website. But
yeah.
All right, the next one is, during the making of Walking Tall, did you really beat The Rock at WWE SmackDown?
Fact. That's a fact. I had my flip up PS1 on set with me, and I'm playing WWF SmackDown, and he comes over, and this is between takes as they're setting up for the new angle, and he picks up the controller and he wants to play, and I was like, all right, cool, let's play. And he chose himself. I chose Stone Cold, and that's just what it was.
Okay, on the set of Holes, you had a bar mitzvah.
No, that's fiction. That's fiction. That's not what happened at all. That's not, no. Nah. Yeah, no story behind it or nothing. Like, that's just fiction.
Okay. Now my last one is, you guys had a food fight on set of Holes, where you guys would use, okay.
Fact. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. That happened.
You're good.
Yeah, fact. That happened. That happened like one of the last days of being out there in the desert. So that's just kids being restless after not doing the most. And yeah, I'll never, like, in the midst of it all, I could hear my mom. Like, I heard my mom's, through all the chaos, I heard my mom's voice. And I was like, whoop. And I just walked straight out of the chaos. I was like, nope. Not gonna deal with it. Walk straight back to her. I was not gonna get in no more trouble. Heard her, done deal. Shut all of that down for me quick. While they were still doing their thing, through all of the yelling and the screaming and the stuff knocking over, I heard her voice, and I was like, Got right up out of there.
All right, I got two more questions for you, which is, I want to get your take on the Avatar: The Last Airbender. This has always been on constant debate between the final fight between Katara and Azula. Do you feel like Katara would have beat Azula, but if she wasn't going through what she was going through with her mentally and everything that was going on at the time? Do you think she would have won that fight?
Do I think Katara would have won?
Yeah.
Listen, man, I got a thing for the story and the arc and how Azula was portrayed. I thought it was, man, for Avatar: The Last Airbender to be a kid show, bruh. There's so many amazing storylines and beat points and just like so much emotion in this series. So to answer your question though, do I think Katara would have beat Azula? I unfortunately gotta say yes. Katara would have beat her because we already saw her do bloodbending. That's my thing. That's my one. That's all she really got is just the bloodbending. But we don't know. Do we know if bloodbending only works during a full moon?
That's good. That's a good question. I would say yes, but I could be wrong about that.
Yeah.
I feel like in Legend of Korra, they kind of like.
Oh, they just do it.
Yeah, they just do it. So I don't know.
But all respect to Azula, man. Like I know she went through a lot. She was destined for greatness and had to deal with people constantly. And she was a little self-motivated in a lot of different ways. But all love to Azula, man. She ain't deserve all the hate.
Azula was a dog. She's one of the times. Man, when she sprang out of the air, I was like, oh, I didn't know this was going to be that she was able to do
She killed the Avatar. Let's keep it a buck. She damn near killed him.
Because usually, like in movies, like you'll see someone like Aang is ascending and going to the Avatar state. So he's about to like go crazy. And usually you just see that happen. She was like, nah, not today. And
shut it down.
Shut it down. Now my final questions for you is pretty much just getting advice from you to other creators who are stepping to the content creation space and wanting to navigate throughout that. What are your tips for that for people who are stepping into that realm?
I've said this many a times, man. I grew up knowing what I wanted to do, but there was no device in my household that could capture those things. And now we all walk around with a device in our pocket that captures video, audio, edits it, and puts it out there for the world to see. So my first piece of advice is start. If you haven't started yet, simply just start. Press record. Just do the thing. Stop thinking about it. Stop thinking it has to be perfect straight out the block. It won't be. I promise you it won't be. When you go back and look at all your old stuff, you're going to be like, oh, at least I started it. Because where I am now, man, thankfully it doesn't look like that anymore because I had to do it to understand what I wanted it to look like. I'm a victim of it. I go look at some of my old stuff on my old YouTube and I'm like, Jesus, I didn't even have the microphone right, blah, 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 whole thing. So my first piece of advice is simply start. After you start, man, gain a rhythm, be consistent with it. If you want to do this, it's not going to just happen overnight. And the first viral moment you have, if it happens, great. But guess what? You better have the next thing loaded up to continue to keep people entertained. Find something. Also find a way to monetize it in other ways, man. If you don't got the merch up and going, if you get the moment you have something like hit and it's a phrase, it's something, throw it on a t-shirt. You never know. That's an extra $300 to $500, even more maybe, if you just had it there for people to be able to at least interact with. You never know. So to capture, to capitalize on the monetization of the moment and constantly be adapting. Don't be a one-trick pony. I think we've seen that happen with a few folks who are known for the thing, and then once the thing gets old, then what? I like to put you called me the Renaissance man earlier, and that meant a lot to me. Because I had to fight against that for a long time because they always told you like don't let them put you in a box. Because that's exactly what they need to be able to tell you or label you what you are. So you do this. Okay, cool. We know how to work with that. But you also do this. So how do this doesn't fit, but you also do this. If you have too many tricks, they're like, we don't even know where to place you, which is a gift and a curse. but I would much rather be taken all as I am, 100% me. And I would love to be knowing that I always got a different trick up my sleeve.
Wow, amazing answer. I love that take. I want to say thank you so much for spending time with me. This means a lot. This is beyond surreal to me. Yeah, I really appreciate you taking time to speak with me.
My God, I appreciate you, brother. Thank you for having me on your platform. I wish you nothing but more success. I do have to mention that you have the Mario dressed up as Leon the Professional. You seen that movie, yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's by far one of the coolest pieces. I still want to get my hands on one of those. I think it's so cool.
Yeah, I was gonna get another one. I can't remember the guy's name who makes them because he has them in different color variations. And there's actually a bigger one too that I was thinking about copying, but that's some money. But this is my favorite thing on my desk right now.
It's so cool, man. That movie is so dope. The actor Jean Reno is he nailed that role. You know, he absolutely nailed that, and it's definitely one of those things in cinema that was a moment for people. And when I watched that movie as a kid, I loved it, and I watched it as an adult, and I was like,
yeah.
So what if he had a son, though? Like, what if he had a son?
Mm-hmm.
It's been on my mind for quite some time.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for spending time with me. And again, I go by the name of PapiCleve. Also, well, my real name is Cleveland. Go by the name of PapiCleve. And as always, peace and love. You guys have a good day, and I'll catch you guys later.